What up, nerds? My name is Leslie Smith. Welcome back to The Nerdy Narrative. Today's video is my weekly reading vlog where I'm going to talk about all the things that I finished, what I'm currently working on, and what I plan to get into next. Starting with, what did I finish? First up is Robert Jackson Bennett's The Tainted Cup. This is the first book in a new fantasy mystery thriller series. The name of the series is Shadow of the Leviathan. I was very fortunate to be approved for my request to read the ARC for this one on NetGalley. It will be available for general purchase on, I want to say, February 6th, so Tuesday. This is one I think you're going to want to own. I know I do. I'm going to be getting a copy for my shelves because I know I'm going to want to reread this one when I find out the release date for the follow-up, because while it is about two characters, an investigator and her assistant investigator, and the case that they're working when this book opens leads to other mysteries, and of course there is a much bigger mystery that I believe is going to span over the series, so I'm going to want to refresh myself on everything that happened in book one before I start into book two. Plus, it's just really beautiful. Chapter 1 begins with laying out the case for us. We're investigating the death scene with assistant investigator Dennius Cole, or Den for short. He is the assistant to Anna, who is the character that is compared to Sherlock Holmes in this story, and it's absolutely warranted, though I find her much more humorous, if a little foul-mouthed. It's hilarious. Her and Fern from Bookshops and Bone Dust would be best friends. So our initial case, there's an Imperial officer who has been found dead in the mansion of one of the wealthiest families in the Empire. I do have a reading vlog that I believe I'm going to have ready to go up next week on release day. So if you would like to hear initial impressions, everything's non-spoiler, you can check that out next week. If you want more information now and you don't want to wait for the vlog, I will have a link to my written review in the description box down below. All non-spoiler as always, if you would like to read that and see if this is one you might want to pre-order. Probably goes without saying, but I did give this one 5 stars, just thoroughly enjoyed it. I finished one other book and literally finished it just before I started filming. I was listening to it while I was getting ready. That is Relight My Fire by C.K. McDonald. This is the 4th book in McDonald's paranormal thriller series called The Stranger Times. This series would appeal to readers who like mystery, urban fantasy, and a lot of humor. I really need to make a note to see if I can find any of McDonald's stand-up comedy online. If the 2 series that I'm reading by him are any indication of the humor this guy has, I bet his stand-up routines are hysterical. The Stranger Times series centers around a newspaper, The Stranger Times, who reports on the strange and the wacky that happens around Manchester in England. In the previous books, they have learned that some of those stories they reported on, while they previously thought were just nonsense, sometimes there's actually a kernel of truth to them. One of the employees of the Stranger Times has enrolled in university to learn more about journalism. She seems to be adjusting fairly well until a fellow student falls out of the sky onto the pavement in front of her. The authorities, upon taking eyewitness accounts and looking at the facts of the case, are not coming up with any obvious answers to explain the weirdness surrounding it, which is where the Stranger Times comes in. They're journalists. They're definitely interested in the story aspect of this occurrence, but there's also an underlying reason. The dark magical powers that be suspect that Stella has something to do with it, and to keep them from getting involved, the team investigates to find out what's really going on to prove her innocence. While all that's going on, Bancroft, the editor of the newspaper, has his own issues going on, and oh my gosh, it's so hilarious. I love how C.K. McDonald, with each novel, expands the world just a little bit by adding 2 or 3 new, unique, and often hilarious characters to this story. In this installment, we've got ghouls, we have homicidal felines, we have gnomes that are literally going to dig through the entire earth, and the appearance of some very interesting historical figures that are sure to leave a memorable impression on you. Just absolutely love this one. By the time this video goes up, I should have my written review done. I will have that link down in the description below, but this series is just phenomenal. Let's talk about what I am currently reading. I requested the arc for The Therapy Room by Sam Barron on NetGalley. I have not read anything by Sam Barron before, but what appealed to me initially was the book cover. The cover led to me reading the book description. All I saw was mention of there was a man found dead in a farmhouse. There was a post-it note that had an FBI agent's name on it. And upon investigation in the basement, there were therapy rooms with people in them, and they had been there for some time. And because of the FBI agent who was named on the post-it note, Susan Parker, and the identity of the man who was found dead, the authorities believe it's the body of notorious serial killer Splinter. Y'all know, as soon as I saw serial killer, I was hitting that request button. I am so glad that I got approved. I blazed through 54% of this book in one sitting. It has a very easy to read and understand writing style. There's so many interesting threads to this story. I'm curious to see which ones are going to connect to the case, which ones are red herrings. Y'all know me, I am so terrible at trying to solve these mysteries. I think I know. I don't have it figured out. I was about to say I think I know who did it. Well, I have a suspect, but I can't tell you anyway. It'd be a spoiler. But being that I am over halfway done with this one and just eating it up, I'm dying to get back to reading it right now. It's so hard to stop and film and get this done when I just want to read. The excitement, the desire to know what's going on, the intrigue, the way that the author is laying the case out. I am really excited to pick it back up and get it finished. If all goes according to plan, I'm gonna finish this one tonight. So probably by the time this video goes up tomorrow, you're going to be able to see my non-spoiler review for this book already. Other things that I'm still working on, but totally took a back seat over the last week while I was binging through Relight My Fire and the Tainted Cup. I have Shogun by James Clavell. This one, I am really enjoying it. I am reading through it slowly, but a little faster than the read-along that I joined in with Mike's book reviews. I have to say, if the show, the adaptation FX is doing, if they don't adequately capture the humor from some of these characters, I'm gonna be so disappointed. Just thinking back over what I've read so far and what's made me laugh the most is the banter between Rodriguez and Blackthorn. They're both pilots, but they're also of different religions and nationalities, so they're kind of at war with each other. So they're enemies, but they also have a grudging respect for each other. It feels to me like this is a budding bromance. Who knows what's gonna happen? I still have a lot of book to go. There's a lot of violence in here. People can just die very easily, so I don't know who's gonna survive or not. And I guess why I find it so funny is I'm of the generation where we used to tell your mama jokes all the time. This one spot, and yes, I've been tabbing the humor that I find really funny. Rodriguez shouts at Blackthorn, "Thy mouth in the devil's ass, Ingles," and Blackthorn shouts back, "Thy mother was there first, Rodriguez." I don't know, I just find that stuff funny. And my other neglected read that I'm going to be giving some love to now that I finished Relight My Fire is book 12 in the Wheel of Time series, The Gathering Storm by Robert Jordan and Brandon Sanderson. You know, the thing that these characters have been preparing for 11 books now, the last battle, Tarmangaiden, it's on the doorstep. It's on the doorstep. It's looming very closely now, and they're not ready. The Gathering Storm is one of my favorites of the Wheel of Time series. Just a really great reread. I'm excited to get back to it. But once I finish some of these books that I have going on, I have a few books on deck that I'm going to be getting into next. The first one I'm going to talk about here is a mystery thriller suspense novel. I believe it has fantasy elements in it as well. This is a recent release. I think it came out within the last 6 months. It's The Puzzle Master by Danielle Trussoni. This one, reality and supernatural elements collide when an expert puzzle maker is thrust into this ancient mystery that he must solve because the fate of humanity is at stake. If you're like me, you may be thinking, what is a puzzle maker? What makes him an expert puzzle maker? How did he get involved and wrapped up in this ancient mystery? I don't know, friends, but I'm gonna read it and find out, and I'll be telling you guys all about it once I get started into it. I do think I'll have this one started by the time I check in with y'all next week. In addition to the Puzzle Master, I also have on my TBR Servants of the Dark Gods by Joseph Sale. I believe this one is slated to release in May of 2024. This is a collection of novellas and short stories that take place in the Book of Thrice Dead universe. I read that series last year and just absolutely was blown away by it. So good. And then the final book that I'm going to put on this week's TBR is A Haunting in the Arctic by C.J. Cook. This is a new horror mystery thriller that's going to be out at the end of February, but this one is about a shipwreck that's found off the coast in Iceland, and once they go in and start looking around, it's got all kinds of dark secrets and terrors, and I am so excited for it. I don't know what it is about horror novels that take place in cold places or during winter. To me, that just adds to the ambiance of a horror. I don't know. Am I alone in that? What do y'all think? Tell me what your favorite horror setting is down in the comments below. That's going to do it for me for this week. I hope one or more of these sound interesting to you, that you're going to pick it up for yourself. That is the goal of this channel, to help readers find the right books for them. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one.